The tennis gods smiled upon us this week, and we were all left speechless. From Halep's redemption and Andrei Rublev's absolution from his punishment, to the exhilarating results of the draw at Indian Wells, and highlights of some of the craziest early round matches, here's everything that happened in the tennis world this week.
Okay, we stop. I made 4 from 4.
Still high from the euphoria of the 5 tournaments from last week, and from Rafa Nadal's entertaining Netflix slam against Carlos Alcaraz, Monday presented itself as a fully packaged delivery from the heavens. First off, we see Iga Swiatek scoring a long-distance goal, and you wonder if Poland's national football team is also thinking of employing her services for their upcoming Euro 2024 qualification playoffs. But on a more serious note, we are super happy for Simona Halep as she sees her ban reduced from 4 years to 9 months. Just a couple of days earlier, we had touched on all the complexities of her doping situation extensively in one of our recent uploads, and the comments section literally exploded with your hot takes on the situation. In the end, looks like our video was a good omen. It then gets even better, seeing that Andrei Rublev also wins his appeal from his default in Dubai. He gets to keep his prize money and ranking points, but he still has to pay a $36,400 fine for the code violation, which seems more reasonable than the punishment dished out to him earlier. We also hope that Rublev has learned his lessons going forward.
Никто, чтобы такое себе позволять, неважно, не прав он или прав.
The draws for the Indian Wells tournament then get announced, and it's easy to see why we call the tournament the 5th Grand Slam. Djokovic looks to chase a record 6th title that would see him surpass Roger Federer, who's tied with him for 5 trophies here. Jannik Sinner looks to maintain his unbeaten streak and is now number 2 in the live ranking. Rafael Nadal is meant to return to competitive action, while former champion Taylor Fritz leads the home charge. Seeing how the draw unfolds, no one has it really easy, at least in my opinion. However, we have lots of exciting potential matchups to look forward to. We saw our favorite stars line up for the Tiebreak 10s exhibition, and it was epic. Ben Shelton took it upon himself to cook up some entertaining tennis as he teamed up with Emma Navarro in mixed doubles as they came out on top against Andrei Rublev and Maria Sakkari. Holger Rune and Caroline Wozniacki then got the better of Taylor Fritz and Aryna Sabalenka in yet another exciting matchup. Tsitsidosa would then steamroll Iga Swiatek and Hubie Hurkacz to a 10-2 victory. Hubie went MIA as the Poles got smoked by the powerful couple. Zhang Qinwen and Frances Tiafoe would then go toe-to-toe against Sloane Stephens and Tommy Paul to complete the quarterfinal lineup, but Zhang and Tiafoe would then get beaten like a drum by Tsitsidosa in the semis. The Danes were also not a match for Shelton and Navarro in the semis, and the Americans would go on to win the whole thing and a winner-takes-all charity prize pot of about $250,000. Zooming over to the practice sessions, something crazy happened. We saw Daniil Medvedev and Stefano Tsitsipas practice together, and it was a little weird for some fans. For those of you who know their frosty history, I believe you get the gist. It was one of the most random things we saw, and we couldn't help but imagine a plot twist where both players develop a bromance. Looks like they were auditioning for one anyway. Okay, seriously, let's get down to business. Wednesday came with a sour taste to it. What we feared the most happened. Rafael Nadal pulled out of the event due to injury, leaving everyone gutted. Some fans feel like the Netflix slam ruined his chances of playing in the desert, while others kinda saw it coming at some point. Another group of fans believe that Rafa is giving off Federer vibes in the way he went out with multiple attempts at a comeback, only to realize that he just couldn't do it. However, we're quite hopeful that he'll get one last dance on clay. Nadal was then replaced by Nagal, and it couldn't have been more poetic. Meanwhile, Rafa fans who had already gotten tickets were already keen on getting a refund because what they ordered wasn't what they got. Paula Badosa also withdrew from the tournament due to injury in yet more terrible news. But there's more to come. Andy Roddick then reveals to us that there are more complaints from coaches about the balls and potential risk of injuries, and it's not looking good. Anyway, the action begins in the opening round. Starting with the WTA, Katie Boulter suffers from a hangover following her San Diego title win and falls to Camila Giorgi in straight sets as Camila snapped a 4-match losing streak herself. One thing with Camila, as we know, is that she could beat almost anyone when she decides to show up, and we totally saw that on Wednesday. I mean, look at this. The Italian kept painting the lines like we can see here. In the end, she was simply too good for Bolter, 6-3, 6-2 your final score. Zheng Shuai then loses her match once again and now has set a world record for consecutive losses with 18. Losing 18 matches in a row? What in the world? Someone help her. Later on, Danielle Collins would shut the crowd up with a solid performance against Erica Andreeva for her 13th win of the season, and you could tell that since Collins announced her retirement, the energy level around her has been different. On the men's tour, Andy Murray got a W over former world number 7 David Goffin.
Gets the final nail.
But one of the upsets of the day was seeing Brendan Nakashima dominate Chris Eubanks in his first tour-level match of 2024. Eubanks hasn't been banking results for quite some time now, and seeing that he has a lot of points to defend in the coming months, he'll be looking to find some form. We're banking on you, Chris. As the competitive action continues to ramp up, dozens of players kickstart their opening round matches. Emma Raducanu gets a straightforward win over Rebecca Masarova, and you could tell that Emma looks determined to find the best possible version of herself on court. Venus Williams wins the first set against Nao Hibino, but withers as the match goes on, losing the next two sets 6-3, 6-love. Not the return she would have wanted. Karolina Pliskova, who's been in good form over the last couple of weeks, loses to Anna Blinkova in a roller coaster three-setter. On the men's side, Roman Safiullin finally gets a win after 4 tournaments with first-round losses. Dan Evans looked to be struggling physically, however he was able to take Safiullin to 3 sets. Stan Wawrinka then takes on Tomasz Machak. Despite being up a break, Wawrinka loses the first set, so he steps up his game, producing signature shots like this. His aggression paid off as he closed out the second set without too much trouble.
And that'll do it.
Unfortunately for the veteran, he couldn't sustain the high level and he'd end up losing the third set and the match. Off the court, Simona Halep received a wild card from the Miami Open, and she shared the news with us on her Instagram as she prepares for her comeback. Exciting days ahead for sure. Elsewhere, Novak Djokovic scores a trick shot and it is glorious. Meanwhile, a former world number 1 who spent a then record of 270 weeks at the top, won 8 majors and 94 singles titles, celebrates his birthday. Any idea who that legend is? If you're thinking Ivan Lendl, then you are absolutely correct. One of the all-time greats of our sport. Next up, we hear that the 2025 edition of the Laver Cup will be hosted in San Francisco. Friday came with more drama on and off the courts. After a tight first set that saw Andy Murray waste multiple set points before losing the set, Andrei Rublev took care of business in the second, dishing out a breadstick to Murray. After the match, Murray complained about being asked the same questions about his retirement over and over again, saying that he felt like no one was listening to him. We hear you, Andy. Jannik Sinner also faced Thanasi Kokkinakis, and let's just say it didn't end well for the Aussie. After both players held serve in the first couple games at 3-all, Sinner beat up Kokkinakis like he had personal beef with him, and it must have been painful to watch for Kokkinakis fans. Sinner won the last 9 games of the match in a row, cruising to a 6-3, 6-love victory. And with the win, Sinner equaled Adriano Panatta for the longest win streak by an Italian man in history at 16. We're quickly running out of words to describe this guy. Anyway, there weren't really any upsets on the men's side, so let's zoom over to the WTA and see what happened there. Iga Swiatek beat Danielle Collins for the 5th time in a row, replicating the Sinner-Kokkinakis scoreline. It was brutal. Iga hardly made any errors in that second set, and although we saw shots like this from Collins early on,
just relentless.
Iga made her fight for every point, and you could tell that even Collins was relieved when the match ended. Elsewhere, Angelique Kerber got her first top 10 win as a mom, coming against Ostapenko. Down 5-7 and love to, Kerber rolled back the years, playing exceptional tennis en route to a 3-set win. Naomi Osaka also got the job done in her opening match against Sara Errani.
For Naomi Osaka.
I reckon Osaka shouldn't have a problem breaking into the top 100 in the coming months. Off the courts, Nick Kyrgios let us know that there was a possibility of him returning to the game in a month, all things being equal. Novak Djokovic then pulled off a Cristiano Ronaldo before getting 50% off for Stefanos Tsitsipas at the grocery store. Daniil Medvedev then made a pinky swear that he wasn't going to blame the court at Indian Wells this year.
I'm definitely not gonna blame the court for anything I do.
And finally, Carlos Alcaraz let us in on his struggles with the pressure of being so successful at a young age, saying that there are days when he just wants to stay away from the noise and not be recognized. But the action on Friday was nothing compared to what we were about to see the following day. Novak Djokovic stepped on court to play a match at Indian Wells for the first time in 5 years. The 5-time champion marked his return with a win over Alexander Vukic. Despite his opponent playing relatively well, the Joker cruised to a 6-2 victory in the first set. Vukic then put some more pep in his step and got the early break, and although Nole did break back, Vukic stole the set at the death thanks to a magical piece of play that saw him return a 123-mile-per-hour serve from Djokovic like this.
Oh, that was wicked.
Djokovic then took care of business in the third to secure his 400th Masters 1000 win. Only one man can boast of more wins at that level. It's Rafa, who has 406. Lehechka would then upset world number 5 Rublev in straight sets. Lehechka was playing like he was in a hurry for most of the match and didn't give Rublev much time on his forehand. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner continued his winning streak, this time holding Jan-Lennard Struff hostage like he owed him some money. I mean, look at this. Tennis Insights had Sinner's forehand quality at a ridiculous 9.9 out of 10 in the first set. And while nobody's perfect, that's literally the highest shot quality you'll ever see. At the end of the day, Sinner was simply too good for Struff, 6-3, 6-4 your final there. Meanwhile, Denis Shapovalov faced Lorenzo Musetti, and I'm sure you already know what's coming. 12 double faults and a significant number of unforced errors. Somebody help this guy. Elsewhere, Fabio Fognini faced the red-hot Sebastian Baez, but the Argentine came out on top in straight sets. Meanwhile, Milos Raonic decided to withdraw from the tournament, and we can't say we were surprised because it's been a common theme for him. This time, the culprit was said to be a calf strain. Ben Shelton then packed the stadium at Indian Wells, producing a solid performance to stop Jakub Mensik.
He's got him.
Say what you will about Shelton, but the kid's got talent, confidence, and that entertainer quality that appeals to some fans. Moving on, Thiago Seyboth-Wild pulled off the upset of the day, beating Karen Khachanov. This same guy sent Daniil Medvedev packing at the French Open last year, and this time he was back at it, slaying giants for a living. The secret this time was clutch serving. An 87% win percentage on Wild's first serves and mostly good second serves meant that Khachanov had only one break point all match. He then unleashed lots of aggression on the return to trouble Khachanov all match, 6-1, 7-5 your final score. We also need to give our man Grigor Dimitrov a shout for producing a highlight reel with reflexes literally faster than a cat's. On the women's tour, the day started on a rather sour note as defending champion Elena Rybakina withdrew from the tournament with stomach issues. We wish you a speedy recovery, Lena. On the court, Caroline Garcia snapped her 4-match losing streak to beat Tomova in 3 sets. Coco Gauff then chose remarkable mental resolve to come back from 2-5 down in the third set to beat Clara Burel. Coco was behind the entire match but still found a way to win at the end. Doing so, she set the record for most match wins by a teenager in WTA 1000s with 50 wins.
The most wins from a teenager since this format in the 1000s came to life.
Elsewhere, Anna Blinkova was up to more mischief, producing the upset of the day against world number 5 Jessica Pegula for her second top 5 win this year. Off the courts, we see Roger Federer auditioning for the NBA, going a perfect 4 for 4. What can't he do? Sunday brought with it nail-biting encounters that would make anyone wonder if the players had beef with each other. Carlos Alcaraz decided that Felix Auger-Aliassime was the right candidate to detonate on. We saw monstrous forehands like this from Alcaraz.
Oh.
And we had all of that with sprinkles of wicked drop shots to spice things up. Felix stood no chance. 6-2, 6-3 your final score for Alcaraz, who now has his 8th consecutive win at the tournament. After punching his way through Felix and using the Canadian to find some rhythm, Carlos then signs the camera and see you soon. Who's he talking to? Novak? Someone else? Fresh off his title defense in Acapulco, Alex de Minaur decided to then play like a man possessed against Sasha Bublik. He was levels above Bublik, who couldn't stop producing errors. 10 double faults and a criminal 22% win percentage on his second serve tells you everything you need to know about the match. 7-5, 6-love, and a 7th consecutive win for the Demon. Can anyone stop him? Next up, Stefanos Tsitsipas stops Francis Tiafoe in straight sets. The match produced exhibition-worthy moments like this. And we see another entertaining moment right here. Tsitsipas wasn't messing around this time as he secured an easy pass into the round of 16. But the match of the day on the ATP Tour went down between Gael Monfils and Hubert Hurkacz. 37-year-old Lemomf rolled back the years, bageling Hurkacz in the first set. It wasn't a tennis match anymore, it was an assault, and you just had to see it for yourself.
Wow.
When he wasn't using Hubie as target practice for his rocket launcher, Monfils was sublime.
He is in the mood tonight.
Look at this right here. It shouldn't be legal.
Oh, come on! Stop it, Gael Monfils.
Although Hubie managed to steal the second set from Monfils, he began to struggle physically by the third, and we hope it's not too serious. 6-love, 6-7, 6-2 your final score in favor of the French veteran, as he pulled off the upset of the day. On the women's tour, it was déjà vu from the Dubai final, as Jasmine Paolini defeated Anna Kalinskaya 6-3, 3-6, 6-4. Once again fighting from a breakdown in the third set as she secured her 7th win in a row. Iga Swiatek was also out on a revenge mission. After losing to Linda Noskova in Australia, Iga took it upon herself to make amends, serving her a bagel. Such an Iga thing to do. The first set was super competitive, with Noskova coming out with pickups like this. At some point early in the set, Noskova was tossing the pole around. But once Iga figured her out, it became a lot easier for the world number one. She would win the last 4 games of the first set to win 6-4.
The world number one pounces with 4 games in a row,
Before entering beast mode in the second set to bagel Noskova. In the other matches, Austin champion Yuan Ye upset her compatriot Zheng Qinwen in straight sets for her first top 10 win, while Naomi Osaka got her first top 20 win as a mom against Samsonova. Meanwhile, Marketa Vondrushova withdrew from the tournament, and we hope it's nothing too serious. But the match of the day was between Sabalenka and Stearns. Aryna Sabalenka had to pull off a Houdini against Payton, saving 4 match points to break the young American's heart. Stearns had the match on her racket with 3 match points on her serve, but she just couldn't get over the line as her nerves got the better of her. Sabalenka would go on to break her as the set went into a tiebreak. Stearns then saved a couple of match points herself in what was a crazy ending to the match, but Sabalenka eventually got the W at the end of the day.
Sabalenka survives a mighty scare in Indian Wells.
What a day on court. Off the court, we see Roger Federer riding an electric scooter in San Francisco. This guy is enjoying his retirement to the fullest, and we love to see that. Yet another crazy week so far in tennis. But we're just getting started because it only gets more intense in the coming weeks as the Sunshine Double rolls on. Smashing the subscribe button is one guaranteed way to not miss out on any action. And if you want to quickly catch up with what went down last week, we've got you covered. Until next time, keep swinging.